Hello, welcome everybody to the No Name Digital Chat. We still don't have a name for the show. I don't know if that I don't know. I think I started talking before it went live. But anyway, welcome to the digital. We're gonna find a name for it, and if you can find it, if you have a name, please just suggest the name for it. But nonetheless, this is a show where we discuss what's happening in terms of what's happening in the digital marketing world, all the news that's happened in the last week. We bring up some headlines, we discuss those, and really look at how they affect businesses, especially in the South African and perhaps in the African context, because we do have different standards of operating here compared to where these technologies are developed and where most of this news is coming from. So we try to, as much as we can, put a South African spin to it to see how South African businesses are affected by all the news that's happening elsewhere. We are coming to you today through Google Hangouts because we've been trying to find a home of our streaming, and that hasn't been very successful elsewhere. So back to the good old Hangouts on air. It's very easy to use as well, and it's very stable. So we've suffered a lot of problems in the past. Nonetheless, my name is Ali Kibao, and this show is brought to you by Afrodynamics.com. You can go to Afrodynamics.com to subscribe and be notified for future shows. With me, as always, is Laurina. Hey, Laurina.
Hi.
And on the other end of the line, finally today, we've always had trouble getting him on, is Gareth. We are all associates at Afrodynamics.com. Laurina is a community manager. I'm the guy who just got ADHD and tried to do everything in the business.
Now there's two of us.
Yeah, and Gareth as well, sailing the same boat. But yeah, so we run a digital marketing agency, non-traditional marketing agency here based in Port Elizabeth. So we hope that you find the news useful. We've got a lot of stuff coming through today. We've got stuff about Pokemon. We've got stuff about Snapchat. We've got news from Google Maps. We've got news from Google Search. We've got news from GoPro as well as Facebook. Of course, you can't talk about social media and digital without talking about Facebook these days. They've been changing so fast. It seems like every second day. Guys, let's get straight to it. Pokemon Go, word of the day, where all the buzz is about Pokemon Go. Is my microphone clear to you guys? Is my sound clear? Okay, great. So Pokemon Go.
Yeah, very clear.
All right, great. If you have been living under a rock, maybe, and you don't know what Pokemon Go is, basically it's a game that allows you to you download it on your phone, you get out in the streets, and it allows you get these virtual balls, and you get out there, you find Pokemon, you hunt them, and then you hit them with the balls and collect them. And there are gyms, which are dedicated places where people can go and compete against each other. And there are Pokestops, which are places you can go and collect the balls that you need to catch the Pokemons with. Now, the big news from our side is that now most of these the Pokestops have been local businesses so far, and it's been free. Like one of our clients at Lighthouses have been a Pokestop, and a lot of people come by to get the balls. So businesses have been seeing a lot of foot traffic. A lot of these gyms have been in churches and some other places. I don't know why churches, but it's been churches. Nonetheless, it's a game that gets people out in the streets walking, and it has taken the world by storm. In just 2 weeks, it has overtaken Twitter, and it sees more engagement and daily use than Facebook, which is the biggest social network. So it is incredible. So the news coming to us from TechCrunch here becomes even more important in this context. And this article says Pokemon Go will soon get ads in the form of sponsored locations. This is exciting, guys. This is exciting. So just quickly to read for you here, after having become one of the most viral mobile applications of all time, Pokemon Go will soon include advertising according to its developer. In an interview with the Financial Times, Niantic, which is the company that has created has created a game, Pokemon Go. And Niantic, its CEO John Hanke said that the sponsored locations would provide a new revenue stream in addition to in-app purchases of power-ups and virtual items. So you can buy these power-ups. You can buy things like lures on the Pokemon Store. A lure is, and maybe it's something that we should discuss what a lure is. We discussed this yesterday, right? So we'll get into the lure. So you can buy these things on the Pokemon Store, but now, in other words, the article continues to say, retailers and companies will be granted the paid opportunity to be featured prominently on the game's virtual map in the hope to drive customers inside their facilities. This is interesting, guys. I have a take on this, but before I do that, what are you guys' thoughts?
More money for Pokemon.
But what about business? Is this good for businesses?
Yeah. Yeah, this is brilliant for businesses because, like I was saying to you, I don't know whether it was yesterday or whether it was during last week's show, whether or not people stay at your business for like 2 minutes or 10, they still kind of have your business in their head. So with lighthouses, for example, since the Pokestop, they'll go there and, you know, collect their balls or whatever, but they still have that place that does bowling or whatever in their head, you know? Like they still have lighthouses still in the back of their mind, you know, subconscious, you know, like whenever they think about wanting to go to a place to hang out, lighthouses will most probably come to mind because now they've been there already.
It's top of mind type of thing, and above and beyond that, people have been getting creative with this. There are some local stores where, if they happen to be in as Pokestops or whatever, there are signs everywhere about Pokemon. Just they're tying into the whole thing and inviting people in for a cup of coffee or half price for a cup of coffee for Pokemon players, or you do this action and then we'll give you that thing. So people are already starting to take advantage of this. Gareth, what are your thoughts for businesses as far as the sponsored locations are concerned?
Look, what I'm thinking now is you know, there's two things. You always know that what businesses are trying to do is they're trying to attract a certain clientele that's interested in their product, okay? What this is doing is just a little bit of the opposite. They're trying to sort of, it's attracting the masses, let's just call it that. It's not trying to, it is attracting the masses. So it attracts people of all walks of life, all ages, all different, you know, male, female, doesn't even matter. So you're getting a lot of foot traffic, like you've already mentioned. And I think what's also good about it is that, like you said, like in Port Elizabeth, people now start associating lighthouses with Pokemon. So I also feel that, I mean, it's like a little community on its own. So these guys that have been there to lighthouses and have seen, hey, you can do a lot there, you can buy this, you can do that, you can do whatever, will tell others about it. So in itself, it's like word of mouth selling, but through a digital platform, if it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And just on the note of lighthouses, they had the first Pokemon hunt. We must remember the game hasn't even officially launched in South Africa yet. You know, so people are doing all sorts of things to get this game. And as far as lighthouses is concerned, on Saturday there was a gathering there. So it was a meetup of all the Pokemon players in the region here in Port Elizabeth. And they gathered there and went for a Pokemon hunt. So this community is already deciding now, okay, we're going to spend our time here, there, or the other place. The sponsored locations, however, do you guys think that might just, you know, because when us marketers start getting our hands on these things, we often mess them up. Do you guys think that there's a potential of the game? Anyway, let me ask this first. Do you guys think this Pokemon Go thing is a sustainable thing? Do you think it's going to be around for a long time?
I don't know. It depends
on... You think this is a fact?
You know, I was actually thinking when I read this article, I was thinking when I read this article that I would be very bad at technology trends. Because when Snapchat first came out, I was like, oh no, like really, come on, that's never gonna last. Now look at Snapchat. So Pokemon Go, I really don't want to say.
And that's
I
the
have a
Yeah.
thing,
feeling
a
I'll be
lot
wrong
of people
whichever way I
have made bad predictions, and now they're like scared to say, no, this is never going to last. Because,
Yeah.
especially with Snapchat, a lot of people say, nah, this is just a thing for kids to do. And Snapchat is growing stronger and stronger every day. So, yeah, using that example, we could all be wrong. I think it's not going to continue to grow as fast, but there's going to be a core community of people, and this is my personal opinion, a core community of people that's going to stick to it. These Pokemon people that have always been gamers and that. The biggest thing, the biggest differentiator is that this game gets you out and about. Unlike and parents are loving it. A lot of comments are coming in, and parents are like, "Wow, at least it's not my kid stuck behind a computer or whatever." It encourages him to go out and explore the world. So parents are loving it in that sense. I mean, there's of course all the security issues that come with it, but it's the same thing. We've heard people dying because they're trying to take the perfect selfie. So we're not going to blame the selfie technology in that. We blame the idiots that do that. So there's always going to be things associated with this. But I think this is interesting if marketers can get creative with it. Right now, you can already do, and businesses overseas are already doing this. So you can buy a lure, which is basically, if you go to the Pokemon store, I'll just show you quickly here. So this is the Pokemon app. That's the company that makes this, Niantic. That's the company that created the game with Nintendo. And they have a store. So you can go to the store and you can buy the balls. And if you don't want to hunt for them, if you don't want to battle for them or whatever, you can buy a whole bunch of things on there. One of the things you can buy is something called a lure. Now what a lure does is that it attracts Pokemon. You drop it off somewhere, virtually of course, and it attracts Pokemon to that place, and everybody can come and hunt those Pokemon. So they're not just for you to hunt, anybody can see them. And this lure lasts for about 30 minutes. So for 30 minutes, Pokemon hunters in your area or who are around you can get a notification or a vibration to say there's Pokemon nearby, and they can go and hunt this. So this is how it would work. I would go in there, and then I would go to the shop, the Poke Shop here. Okay, let me see. Go to the shop, and then in the shop it will bring up all the options that are available. So I can buy these the balls. I can buy, and here's the lures. I don't know if you guys can see this. These purple things, these are the lures. Okay. So I can buy one lure for 100 coins, and the coins themselves I need to buy, and per coin, I don't think you can see
Can't
that.
see that.
But per 100 Poke coins, it costs. What was that in rand? Now I'm in a dollar account. But $1, so it's about 18 rand for 100 coins. So basically, I can buy this one lure for 18 rand, drop it off somewhere for half an hour. Now imagine if you are in a shopping mall, or if you are in a place like the Boardwalk, for instance, and you run a restaurant. You drop a lure outside your restaurant, and you have a promotion tied to it, and you can buy multiple lures and drop them off at different intervals. So you know it's Saturday, you know people are going to be coming by the location, you drop it off, people come by, and you tie a special to that. So there's a lot of potential for retail, especially for retail, and I'm excited to see what people are going to be doing with it. We are certainly going to be experimenting with a few of this, especially with the lures, because I think the whole sponsored locations is a little bit way out, and we don't know how much expensive that's going to be. Anyway, so
Yeah.
we have to wait and see, but it's exciting times indeed. Any final thoughts on this?
Yeah, I just hope they don't, they haven't really indicated what the sponsored location is really going to be and how the advert's going to look and, all those little things. But, yeah, we just hope it doesn't become like a what do we call it, a Indian bazaar, with all the adverts going all over the show.
I actually read another article. I can't remember where I read that from, but what that said is what they are going to be experimenting with is a cost per visit. Wouldn't that be interesting?
Yeah.
You know, so you pay as for as many people as many people visit, as many visits as you get. That's what you pay for, which is basically like what we have now, cost per click. How much is going to be per visit remains to be seen. But I think that's an interesting model. You know, so if you don't have anybody visiting you, then you don't pay. If you have 0 visits, you don't pay. They'll work that out. You'll have to pay somehow so they don't waste their resources. But a cost per visit would be very, very interesting model to work with. But I think it's if it continues to grow and it sticks around for a while, it should be interesting for businesses to work with. Anyway, next on our next story relating to Pokemon and things of the like, virtual reality and augmented reality. This article comes to us courtesy of The Verge, and I'll just share it here. The article's headline is Snapchat applies for patent to serve ads by recognizing objects in your snaps. Now, this is interesting. Lorena, you'll walk us through this in your thoughts. Would you care explaining, or should I read a bit from the article?
You can read a bit, and then I'll give you my 2 cents.
Okay, so Snapchat has filed a patent application for a system of advertising that uses object recognition to serve users sponsored filters. The technology outlined by the company would identify items in users' pictures and then offer the image overlay, image overlays from brands related to these objects. It's the visual equivalent of buying advertising space based on keywords in Google searches, but instead of looking for textual data in searches like headphones or shoes, it looks for objects themselves. So let me see if I'm understanding this correctly. This means as I take a snap, you see in my background, I've got a camera stand, I've got a computer monitor over there, and I've got a MacBook over here. So if I take a snap and includes these images, these objects in the background, suddenly, as I swipe to get the filters, I will get an advert for something to do with a MacBook Air cover or a camera to go with my stand. Or Lorena, in your case, you get a lot of adverts about shoes.
Shoes.
You see, Gareth is very smart one day.
Article,
the background.
They're basically saying.
I
understood from the article. They're basically saying that if I take a snap, for example, and I have my shoes in the background, when I swipe for the filters, stuff like Louis Vuitton shoes will come up, or Jimmy Choo shoes will come up. So it will allow me to have an overlay for certain brands. So not necessarily that the brands will be advertising to me, but rather that I will be basically advertising to the people who watch my snaps. So for you, when you take a snap with your MacBook in the background, you'll get, an overlay for the Apple logo. So then people will be like, oh, Ali uses a MacBook. Let me also get a MacBook type thing. Really, that Apple will now, advertise to me. That's what I understood from the article.
Yeah, that actually is that makes more sense. So I understood it the other way around, because it would it would help. I think it works both ways, because after I take the snap, then I'm going to share it, so my followers can see what I've overlaid on my MacBook. But at the same time, the sponsor of the filter will be advertising to me too, because I own a MacBook. And if they trying to show me a MacBook cover, then that's an opportunity for them to advertise to me that, hey, you've got a MacBook, you can, but then when I share it, they also get that exposure. But there's no guarantee that my followers or people who watch my snaps will be using MacBooks. So it works both ways. I advertise for them,
Yeah.
and at the same time, they get an opportunity to advertise to me. Because the example that they gave here in the article is this one. They say, for example, if you in the patent application, Snapchat first describes how object recognition could provide a compelling way for users to personalize, supplement, and enhance their snaps. The company gives the example of a user taking a picture of the Empire State Building. The app's object recognition would identify the landmark, and when the user swiped through their filters, they might be offered an image overlay of King Kong hanging off the top of the skyscraper, swatting at planes. Now, Snapchat does this object overlay very well already. They do this very, very well. We see with the face, face swabs and the masks, and you being able to pin an object to something that moves, and the object moves with that. They do this very well. But before we do that, let me just explain to someone who's not familiar with Snapchat what filters are. So this is my my phone here, so I can take a snap. I've opened the Snapchat app, and I just took a snap of myself. This is my computer facing me right now. So what I can do with this is, if I swipe to the one side, you see I get that. That's the location filter, the Port Elizabeth filter. If I continue swiping, I get all these other filters. So this is what basically filters are. There's a temperature filter, how fast they're moving, black and white filter. It goes on and on. But perhaps the filters that we are talking about here is these object recognition filters. Okay, so if I take, I'm just going to swap the camera here. So if I take a selfie of myself right here, I can tap and hold my face. Now Snapchat recognizes that's my face. And then what Snapchat does is I can swap, and it overlays these objects. So you can see right there, it overlays all these effects. And I can record a short video, or I can take a picture. So that's what basically filters are. So now instead of just recognizing my face, it will also be recognizing the objects behind me, and then overlaying advertisements or sponsored filters on top of that. So that's the essence of it. But it will be fun for people to use and share, and it will be fun to see what brands do with it. Yeah. Anyway, I just thought I'd explain the filters. You were in the middle of a thought. Did I cut you short? Sorry. I see Gareth is
not at all. I was just actually listening to what you're saying, which is not a surprise. I mean, he is a
yeah. Yeah. Okay. So another example that they give in the article here is the so obviously, with like any other form of online advertising, you'll be able to get you'll be bidding for these filters to appear. So here it continues, the article continues to say, for advertisers, the object recognition could be used to serve sponsored filters, but also more involved ads. In one example, an image that includes an object recognizes a restaurant would serve a filter of that restaurant's menu. In another, a filter associated with a certain dish from that restaurant may include celebratory graphics to commemorate the user's achievements. So if I have a champagne on my table and I take a picture of that champagne, a celebratory filter can come up. If I take a picture of a signature dish at a restaurant, a filter related to that dish might come up, which is very interesting. But then again, it's just a patent. We don't know how soon this will come out. But obviously, Snapchat is making its move into the mainstream. So if businesses weren't thinking of Snapchat before, they should certainly start thinking about that now. Gareth, welcome back.
Yeah.
Have anything to add to the article? Gareth, I cannot hear you.
Oh no, no sound.
And now?
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Just
Yeah.
I pulled the microphone out. what was I going to say? Okay, yeah, just so that I don't repeat what you guys have said, but I find this interesting because I don't know if you guys remember it's not news now, but it's something where based on your location and based on search results, which is a bit different to this, Google would then start displaying adverts to you based on your user experience, what you want in products. So I find this pretty similar in that instead of it being search based, it's now based on, like you guys have now gone through, items that appear within photos, which is just, I think it's ingenious, eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
This is like another level type
Yeah.
of stuff, and I think they're
Yeah.
going to do pretty well with it if
Yeah.
they handle it properly, if they launch it properly. So yeah, that should be interesting. So what's in this, Lorena? Do you think now businesses should start taking Snapchat seriously and get on board? And now that it's not so noisy, what's your advice to businesses at Snapchat?
I was actually like on a different tangent with my thoughts because you guys know how I feel about the internet capturing my information, and and now it's even more so with the Snapchat feature. Like now they will know everything about me. Whether I slept in my room with my shoes, or whether I slept in the lounge with my milk or coffee, whatever. I don't know. It's interesting. But for businesses, this is great. I mean, this is fantastic. And it's better to hop on the bandwagon right now before we have like the bidding war we spoke about
Yeah.
when it comes to AdWords. So get in there now and get your brand recognized, your name recognized before it gets out of hand, because it can easily get out of hand.
Yeah, yeah, it's easy, and it's that's the thing, right? We focus a lot on these bigger brands, bigger players. We all want to appear on top of Google, and there's platforms like these that are coming up. If you plan to be in business for the next 5 to 10 years, you've got to have a look at these platforms, and you've got to establish yourself because early adapters to Facebook, they saw great success just because they were early. People who started blogging earlier saw greater success than someone who's starting to blog today because there's more noise. And that same applies to these platforms. So what if you try it and then it doesn't work out? You just, as long as you haven't invested heavily and lost a lot of money, it's worth a try. And I think that's the key here. We shouldn't wait until something becomes mainstream, then we get on board. Then it's a struggle to find anything. Anyway, let's hop on to the next item. And remember, guys, this show is brought to you by afrodynamics.com. If you have any questions wherever you're watching this from, please submit those questions, and we'll try and address them in the next show. If you have recommendations, news items you would like us to discuss, you can drop them off there. The easiest way, we're still figuring out which platform to use best. But the easiest way is to go to afrodynamics.com, subscribe to our newsletter, and we always keep you posted that way. Not yet, but we will. On to the next news item here, coming to us courtesy of Search Engine Land. And the headline reads, Google Maps showing how long people typically spend at a store or venue. New features show you time based on crowdsourced location data. Gareth, you want to walk us through this?
Yeah, basically what they're saying here is that based on your smartphone's location being on, they can track. Funny enough, I was just looking at my Google account this morning, and Lorena, this will scare you. I went in there, and because my location has been switched on for the last month or two, it can actually show me across the Eastern Cape where I've been traveling and where it's picked me up, which is just scary. But anyway, so getting back to this, it's very similar to that. So they'll pick up where the people are and where they're moving around and how long they are at specific places. A nice example that they use here and how that will affect a business is, of course, like Starbucks, or let's for argument's sake say McDonald's in South Africa. You can go on and do your search for coffee, and then it'll bring up listings of different places. And for example, in the listing, it'll say Starbucks, the people spend on average 5 minutes in the stores. So now you know that basically you're going to wait 5 minutes for your coffee. And then it has the flip side, where there are certain places where you would want your clientele to spend a longer period of time, and it can then, of course, measure that. So it's got two different sides to it, but I think it's quite good statistical information for businesses.
I think this is awesome, and so if you're a business who will benefit from people spending longer at your business, then you want to encourage people to stay there longer, because the next time somebody searches for your business online, Google will tell that person who's searching how long people normally spend at your business. And if on the other hand you're a business that doesn't want people that is based on fast delivery, like your Starbucks or a McDonald's or whatever, you want to show that people don't stay there for long. On average, you don't have to queue at this business or the other. You won't have to queue, and things can happen fast for you. So I think it's a nice addition to Google. It's just a matter of time. Well, anyway, they're just trying to figure out how to make more money from advertising. Laurina, what are your thoughts on this?
I don't know. I'm kind of confused a bit, only because I like to spend a lot of time in restaurants. So I don't know how this would help me personally. I understand how it would help everybody else. But with me, like, I would want to go to Starbucks and literally hang out, just chill, have my coffee, relax. I'm not in a hurry or whatever. But I understand the people who want to just go in and out would use that information. But I feel like a person like me would distort that information, if that makes sense. And I feel like there are quite a few people like me who want to go to like a KFC and sit down. Everyone wants to like drive through or whatever.
So
I don't know, but I feel like it is really good.
Your
but there are
concern
just going to be some
applies to
information.
situations where a business could benefit from both. People spending time and people not spending time. Then you have, but most businesses aren't shaped that way. Most businesses are either or kind of scenarios. But if you're talking like fast food and that, of course you gotta watch out for, because you have on the one hand you have people who want to come pick up and go, and on the other hand you have people who want to come in and sit down. So that can be a little bit of a conflict or a bummer, if we can call it that. But in most cases, I think you either one or the other, and it will benefit you greatly to pay close attention to how much time customers are spending at your premises, and maybe even encourage them to spend more time over there. I mean, if your business succeeds when people spending more time, it helps you anyway if people spend more time. So you hopefully are doing it in any case. Anyway, on to our next story. Gareth, any closing thoughts on that, or shall we move on to the next story?
I just know that when Google does something, it always, like you say, means one of two things. It's going to mean money, number one, and number two is how's this going to influence search results in the future? Because based on, like you said, which type of business, I can tell you now they're going to include some form of this in the algorithm for search results somehow.
Yeah. So then they say, hey, we take this into account. Well, Google does have hundreds of signals that it takes into account for its search rankings. We only know a handful. And the ones that we see here are the ones that are facing us. Of course, there's hundreds that are going on behind the scenes that we have no clue what they are. But everything that Google does, if your business gets a lot of traffic from Google, either search or maps, you got to pay close attention to that. Okay, on to the next story here. This also comes to us courtesy of Search Engine Land, and the headline reads here. Now, I'll just share this quickly. Google expansion of local inventory ad products search now live in Maps and Knowledge. That's a mouthful, I know, but it basically means that right now, in that little Google search, when you search for something and then something comes up on the side or whatever, Google now includes, there you can see highlighted in red in the image, Google will now include a way for people to search for items from within that listing. Gareth, you want to take this a little bit further for us, please?
Yeah, it's something that I remember them speaking about this at the Google conference that we listened to. I don't know, it's getting longer and longer now. A few months ago, maybe a month or
Yeah.
two ago, and they brought this up, and I see it's now becoming a reality where they spoke about. They didn't speak about the intricacies, but basically you put your inventory of your store out there for Google to read off of. It'll probably have to be some sort of an API that reads off your stock that you have in your store. And then at any specific point, like in this example of Macy's, if you're searching for, like Lorena will search for shoes, and then it'll basically be able to say whether there are specific shoes, in stock. That's the gist of it.
Okay. So, if I'm understanding this correctly, and Arina, I'll let you jump in just a second. If I understand this correctly, then it means when I search here for a specific shop, so in my case, I'll search for Mr. Price or Edgar's Port Elizabeth, and then I'll see where all the Edgar's are, and then I can see what products Edgar's has to offer. Now, obviously, the challenge here will be the setup. It's easier if you have an online store to do this. I can imagine you just plug it into your URL or something, but there should be a way for you to plug in maybe a few items that you want to promote, and then people can see that. But if you're an online store, that should work. Now, Rina, where do you see this going for businesses? You see this as to be something useful for businesses in any way? As a person, would this be something useful to you?
I see this as being useful to the customer, but like you said, it only really helps if you have an online store already. Because I know there's a difference. This might show my fashion blogger side, but I know there's a difference between Mr. Price Greenacre and Mr. Price Warmer Park. There's sometimes more stuff at Mr. Price Greenacres that I want to buy than there is at Warmer Park, but Warmer Park is closer to me. So if there was this function and there were two different websites for Mr. Price Warmer Park and Mr. Price Greenacres, I could easily just search Mr. Price Warmer Park and be like, okay, do they have this pair of shoes? Do they have this T-shirt? Do they have this, pair of pants before I go there, rather than going there and then being like, oh, as usual, Greenacres has it and Warmer Park doesn't. So from a customer's point of view, I feel like it's fantastic. But from a business point of view, I don't know how they would do it. I don't know the behind the scenes, but
Yeah.
it would be advantageous to have that.
Yeah, it would certainly be a challenge to manage this and to make this work successfully, but at the same time, I think it's worth exploring. Because the future is, if you are a retail outlet, the future is online selling. So even if you are not selling much online, it's to your benefit, to a business's benefit, to add its items online, so that people can see straight away and perhaps get attracted to come there to purchase. Otherwise, yeah, I think well, let's see how it unfolds, but it could be a useful function, especially for online stores. Any closing thoughts on this, anybody, before we jump into the next story? All right. The next story comes to us courtesy of Venture, The Verge, rather. And the headline reads, "The future of GoPro hardware should be all about live streaming." Now, we have spoken a lot about live streaming here, and we are huge live streaming advocates. We are doing this, as we're doing this right now, it is being live streamed. So, GoPro has been struggling with its sales, and they seem to be trying to get into the live streaming side of things. Now, when companies like these take these plunges into stuff like this, then you know that GoPro, they are in the business of capturing those experiences and sharing and allowing people to share those experiences. So what they've done here is they have this little camera, as you can see in the image here. They mount it in the back of this motorbike, and you can live stream a 360 video. So if you're a fan of this guy, you can be literally on the back of his bike, and you can look around left, right. You can look behind you. You can see all sorts of things. They have a video somewhere. There was a link to that video in here. But guys, what are your thoughts and advice to businesses as far as live streaming and live video is concerned?
I thought this was brilliant when I saw it because I was thinking of, for example, the Boardwalk Hotel could have a live stream every morning just to show people like, hey, this is the beautiful sunset. Don't forget we have like a restaurant here. You can come and relax and have food or whatever. You can have, because we went quad biking at this place, I forgot, it was between here and Grahamstown, and the man in charge there had like a drone that he used to film part of the quad bike trail that we were on, and you could use that as well for promotions of businesses, or you could say, hey, when you come to our quad bike place, we'll give you a free video, or we'll charge you this much for your video so you can share it on social media. It will be free marketing for, like, word of mouth marketing, where I'll be like, hey, I went to this quad bike place, check out my video, post it on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I think it's brilliant, and especially now that people love live streaming, it's awesome.
Something that came to mind for me now while I was looking at this is the estate agents. What they starting to do more and more these days, instead of having pictures of new listings go up on their sites, is they trying to create videos that are 360-degree videos. So this will tie in very nicely with it, because I feel a lot of the times the quality maybe that they upload and the software that they have to use is a bit scary for a lot of them. So if they're able to use something that already creates a 360-degree image just off the camera, not too much editing involved, with good quality, that could be a good advantage. And because it's live streaming, an example could be these guys could have a new listing that goes on the market today. What is the idea behind it? They want to sell it as quickly as possible. Have a live streaming video running while you're actually doing the listing of the new place. I mean, how much better than putting it out there immediately?
Yeah.
You know?
And imagine down the same train of thought. Imagine if an agent goes into a place and says, hey, okay, so show how everybody can tune in, and you can ask questions, and you can ask, hey, show me to the right, show me to the left, look up, look down, take me to the yard, I want to see the pool, so people can experience that and interact with it, because there are videos of these places, but often you go to this thing and you look at the video or image and you just want to see slightly more to the left. Just the bathroom or the shower is just cut off, and you'd like to see just to the right of that thing before you make a commitment to go there and view the place. So live streaming could be great for estate agents. Boom, there you are. People ask questions and like, wow, okay, turn right, turn left, look up. I want to see the ceiling. I want to see what color this is, and you can do this all from your phone. So that's a great example, Gareth. That's a great example. But I don't understand why we're still very hesitant to do live streaming to this day, and it's become so much easier. And this is a medium that's just going to keep growing and growing. This is the future of social media, in my opinion. Don't you guys think so?
I do.
Okay. Great. Okay.
I feel like it is the now of social media, not the future.
Yeah, it is. It is the now already. I mean, we're saying the future. The future is now. Yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
This is this is now stuff. Okay. The final story comes to us courtesy of VentureBeat, and Facebook is experimenting, and I think this feature is live now to most people. I've got it. Laurina, you've got it. I know Gareth, you've got it as well. Facebook is experimenting or rolling out editing videos in comments. So now when you make a comment to a post on Facebook, you can comment with a video instead of just writing or putting an emoji in. Is this useful? Is this something that businesses can take advantage of? And if so, how? I know we discussed this. Yes.
I
I feel like this would be useful maybe in a... No, Gareth?
No, go.
I feel like this would be useful maybe in like a competition or something, where it's like send a 30-second clip telling us about why you love our business, or a 30-second clip doing this or that or the other. But I don't see how it would be useful in any other way other than that. Yeah, I don't know. It's a strange feature. It's interesting, but it's very strange.
Gareth, any thoughts?
Look, I mean, we've just been talking about all these things. I mean, you can take it. You can start from Snapchat and you can work your way all the way through to live streaming video. I think what Facebook is trying to do, just so that we can maybe understand it better, is that I think everything at some point in the future will probably move away from the written word. So in other words, like typing and having to do that kind of thing. It's going to be so much easier if you can just shoot your reply or your emotion in a little, even if it's 5-second video. You can shoot it and bring across whatever your emotion is, whatever your question is, those kind of things. So I think it's just making it easier for the consumer. Yeah. And then on the flip side, I mean, if a business, you know, it might be easier for the business to, instead of reading through all these different comments, I mean, you can just quickly have a look at a video. That just leads us to the question we asked yesterday. We don't know what the length of cutoff is for these replies and comments.
I haven't experimented with it myself. Yeah. But Gareth, you bring up a very good point to say that it could be easier for the business. And it could also be easier for the customer, because often if I, especially imagine a support scenario, okay? So if I'm calling in for support and I have a problem, I'll try to, and I get this with maybe AfriHost, they're very good on Twitter. So I reach out to Twitter and explain to them what my problem is. Often it will be the technician will have to ask me 2 or 3 more questions before he understands or she understands what I'm asking about. So we have to send each other messages 2 or 3 times before they can understand. In this case, if I'm sitting in front of my computer, I can record a video and say, hey, this is the challenge I'm facing. When I look at my screen, this is what it looks like. This is the error message it's giving me. How do I fix this? And then from their side, if they want to show me, go here, click there, they can also reply with the video and say, don't worry, this is how you fix that problem. And it's easier for everyone in those situations where just the written word doesn't convey either the meaning of what we're trying to put across or the emotion. Because sometimes the emotion puts everything into context. If I'm angry about things, you would handle it a certain way than if I was maybe okay with it or willing to wait. If you're in a support scenario, I think that could be very useful, because imagine the same problem, different people handle it differently. Now you need to be aware of how to handle which one to handle which way, but if we both write in the same message, the support person has no way of knowing which one they should handle with a little bit of humor, which one they should handle with absolute sincerity, you know. But if I make a video, it would make life so much easier, and support, I think, could be much quicker. What do you guys think in that regard?
When you put it that way, then I completely understand, because I didn't know how we were going to
when you put it that way.
Incorporate. Yeah, I did not think about it that way. I really didn't. I didn't understand. So thank you guys.
Okay. That's just a theoretical scenario. I don't think people are. I
Yeah,
mean,
yeah.
we still have all these tools, and we're not using them as nearly as well as we should. All these tools are meant to help us and would help us a lot if we use them properly, but we don't. Anyway, that's all we've got time for. But before we go, we get to review a tool for today, and today we're going to show you we would like to share with you something we use internally here to manage all our passwords. It is very secure. It makes sure that you don't repeat passwords. So, we use. Everybody has done this at some point in their life. We use the same password for everything because it's easier to remember. But with this tool, which is called LastPass, the meaning behind the name is that this is the last password you will ever have to remember. So what LastPass does is, I'll just go to their website here quickly and show you their selling point. You have one password, and then every time you are signing up for a service or you're updating a password for any of the services that you use, what you can do with LastPass is that you can, if you're using your browser, there's a browser extension. I'll just show you how that looks like right now. So I don't know if you guys can see this from your side, but right on top here, I've got all these extensions, and this little one here is the LastPass extension. If I have multiple passwords, it'll tell me about that. If I have a weak password, it'll tell me about that. But this is my vault. I can see all my websites, and I can copy and paste passwords. I can update passwords sometimes. I can make secure notes. I can save my credit cards in here. And if I'm signing up for a service, I can generate a secure password. So if a service allows me to create a password that's 24 characters long, I don't have to worry. I can just create a 24 character long password, and if I go to generate password, you'll see it looks something like this. So I can choose allow all types of characters. I can choose to make it pronounceable. I can choose to add I'm clicking on the wrong one. I'm clicking on the screen here instead of this. So I can choose to add that, and it just makes the password very complicated. I can choose the length of the password, so it can be all the way up to, I think, 100. Yeah, 100 characters if I wanted it to make it that way, because I do not have to remember it. So it doesn't matter what the password is. And I get a mobile app. So if I need to sign into my mobile platform, into my mobile phone, I can use the mobile app to just copy and paste the password into whatever it is that I want to sign into. And on the browser, you get this little nice extension here, which if you go to sign in somewhere, because you have this extension installed and you have your password signed in here, it'll automatically populate that. But it doesn't save the information in your browser, which is not a very secure way to go about it. So LastPass is very nice. And for us as a team, what helps us a lot is the sharing aspect. So we have a folder here. It's got all the passwords that need to be shared across the team, between the team members, so that everybody has access. And in this sharing feature, we put all these, the folder, we put all these passwords, and everybody in their LastPass, they see this folder, the shared folder, and they can copy and paste, and they can use these. So we don't have to say, hey, here's the password for this, here's the password for that. We just add it to the LastPass folder. So this is a very nifty tool, very secure, especially nowadays, where it seems like every day we're talking about security here on the show, in one way or another. So this is something to look at if you're running a business, even if it's just for your personal computer use. That's all we've got time for today. Once again, this show was brought to you by Afrodynamics.com. Don't forget to go to Afrodynamics and subscribe to the post there. Thank you very much, Laurina. Thank you very, very much, Gareth. Thank you all for tuning in. And until next time, Tuesday at 10:30, we'll be sharing a link very soon when we find a home. So we'll be sharing a link where you can come and tune in and watch live. I think I like the experience with Google+. It's very stable. It's very easy. We haven't had any issues. It's probably maybe because just Gareth fixed his laptop, that's all. Gareth fixed his computer. That's why we haven't had any issues. But I like the look and feel. I don't know. What do you guys feel about Google Hangouts? Because we can,
hey,
from
as long
here,
as it works.
I like it.
As long as it works.
Just read. Yeah.
Yeah, we know it's going to be here. We know that it's not going to be wonky because it's Google and they do maintain. I know Google sometimes they just shut down these services and then it's all done. But anyway, this is a post show. Thank you very much, guys. I got to go pick up my son from school now. So I'll speak to you soon. Bye, all.